This is far from perfect. Flooding, neighbours setting fire to the sugarcane. Something's going to massively rebalance. The cost of the house and the cost of the land were a lot less than perhaps you would think. Looking for rats at 6 o'clock in the morning and a sister. Trouble, those two. Stamp! Judy, what are you doing in this kitchen, eh? What are you doing in here? You know the rules, don't you? Come on, outside. Come on, outside, outside, outside. Come on, outside, outside. Good girl. Good girl. You're all wet, aren't you? Hey, what have you been doing?
So, I suppose when you talk about it being a conspiracy, it ain't a conspiracy if it's candidly spoken about and explicitly stated. That's not a conspiracy, that's a sort of an agenda.
We are fast approaching the end, I believe, the end of a free world, at least in the West anyway. And that is why I've opted for this kind of a life. It's a simple existence. Look, I know we've got this house. It's a beautiful property. We built it ourselves, started 3 years ago, finished about a year and a half ago. The cost of the house and the cost of the land were a lot less than perhaps you would think. %100% the UK has gone to shit already. It's an absolute disgraceful nightmare. And I'm going to be very careful not to highlight specific points of decline, because that is what gets you arrested and put into prison very fast. It's madness. It is utter madness. But there you go, that's the world that we're living in. I'm certainly not going to be preaching about what I think people should be doing with their lives. I don't think anybody should be doing that. All I can do is sort of highlight the reasons that I'm doing this with my life. We have an abundance of fish in each of the ponds around the farm, as well as in the canal that runs around. And even though these dogs don't swim, they never go in the pond and they never go in the canal, somehow they've managed to get a bloody fish. Judy, how have you got that fish? How have you got this fish? I don't understand. How have you got that? I don't know. Fishing dogs, clever dogs. We felt completely screwed over by the government as a result of the COVID lockdowns and whatnot. Now look, say what you will about COVID, whether you think it was manufactured or natural, or whether it was all part of this great reset. Who knows? Generally, I think this is quite an idyllic way to live, but that's not to say there's not a lot of hard work involved. we were at a point where we were looking at what we could buy, what kind of house could we buy in the UK. And when we looked at the kind of properties that we could afford to buy, a very, very small 2-bedroomed, cramped, terraced house in northern England, it wasn't a particularly appealing thought of living like that in that kind of a property, in that kind of an area. We'd obviously then have to continue working full time because of all those additional taxes we have in the UK. Whether it's council tax for the property that you live in, whether it's rented or owned, the utilities costs, so the gas, the electric, the water, I mean, astronomical figures per month you have to pay. So we were faced with this choice and we opted to spend our money here in Thailand. Now, we already had the land. We bought the land a couple of years before that point. We bought it as an investment for the future. And the cost of this land was 600,000 baht. I'll put a conversion on the screen. If my memory serves right, it was about £16,000, or I guess just a touch under $20,000. And then to build this house from start to finish cost us 3 million baht. Now, I might be wrong there. My memory is hopeless, so I'll put the proper full figure on the screen here for you. But I think it was about that. I think it was about that. We also have an off-grid solar system installed. And the cost of that was, I think, about 400,000 baht. Again, I'll put the exact number on the screen with a conversion. Now, actually, electricity in Thailand is relatively cheap. Although it is going up, it is slowly going up. But if you look at what we would spend if we were on grid, on the electricity system, the PEA, if we were to calculate roughly what we would spend over a 10-year period, it would be roughly the same as the system installed here. So financially, it doesn't really benefit you, but for peace of mind going forward, how the world might well look in the next 10 years, for me anyway, it certainly is peace of mind. I'm sure some people watching this will think, drama queen, whatever, you know, you're hyping up some problem that doesn't exist. Well, that's okay, that's your opinion, but my opinion is that we're reaching a pivotal point within the world where something's going to massively rebalance, and whatever excuse is given, whatever, you know, disaster around the world that we're going to be faced with is going to be used as an excuse for that. Who knows? It could be a number of things, but that is my belief. I feel like there are a lot of people saying the same thing as me online, but actually not many of them have done something about it. That's why I wanted to make this video. I guess I wanted to highlight that we as human beings still have options, and I genuinely don't think that will be the case for very many more years going forward. Look, this is far from perfect. There are lots of issues that we face every day with the land, whether it be flooding, whether it be neighbours setting fire to the sugarcane, very dangerous things. So this is far from perfect. But in my view, it's a damn sight better than what we had if we'd have stayed in the UK.
Here's a little song I wrote. You might want to hear it in your pod. You'll owe nothing and be happy. Ain't got no cash, ain't got no car, but 24 booster shots in your arm. Owe nothing, be happy.